Just when the Minnesota Vikings defense starts coming together, we get hit with some bad news. The Minnesota Vikings have placed Patrick Peterson on IR and is expected to miss 3 to 4 weeks with a hamstring injury. Now, that is a hamstring injury, so he's expected to miss 3 to 4 weeks, but that can easily be the rest of the season, as hamstring injuries are very serious. If you remember, he did leave Sunday's matchup with a cramp, and that cramp ended up being a hamstring injury, and this is a very big loss on this Vikings defense. Now, Patrick Peterson, he's played exceptional. He's been an exceptional player on this Vikings defense, as yes, he has allowed a lot of touchdowns. I mean, on 97 defensive snaps, has only allowed 19 receptions this season, but that's 19 receptions against DeAndre Hopkins, DK Metcalf, DJ Moore. He's played against some of the league's best wideouts and has continued to hold his own. You can't say that about the rest of the Vikings corners, as Bashaud Breeland has been the worst corner in football. Mackenzie Alexander has been consistently awful with the Minnesota Vikings, and really, who we're looking to right now is Cameron Dantzler. He has to be that guy to step up, because Patrick Peterson missing the next 4 weeks is huge. As you continue to hear all over the place, Vikings' next 4 games are tough. After the bye week, after the week 7 bye week, the Minnesota Vikings will host the Cowboys, then play the Ravens, then play the Chargers, and then the Packers. 4 Super Bowl contending teams in 4 straight games after the bye week without Patrick Peterson. What does that mean? We need Cameron Dantzler to step up. We need someone to step up as that cornerback 1, because we can't have Bashaud Breeland looking great. I mean, he's not going to look great against Amari Cooper, against Devontae Adams. I mean, these are some of the league's best wideouts, and you can't have Bashaud Breeland play against them. And that's when Cameron Dantzler steps into the picture. Now, if you've been paying attention to the podcast, I'm not a huge Dantzler fan. I think Dantzler is very limited. His ceiling is very low in the NFL. He's a young player, very undersized, not a great tackler. But with that being said, he is better than any other corner we have on this roster right now, because Patrick Peterson is out. Why did the Vikings not trade for Stephon Gilmore? But that's aside. I don't know why the Vikings didn't trade for Stephon Gilmore, as he would be a core player in this Vikings defense, and we have the money to pay him. But with that being said, this is where we need to look to Cameron Dantzler, second-year player out of Mississippi State, 3rd-round draft pick in 2020. Had a great rookie season, being the top-ranked corner by PFF in his rookie season. Top-ranked rookie corner by PFF in his rookie season, and is going into his second year and has so far this season been the best corner on this Vikings team. Now, obviously, Patrick Peterson, Cameron Dantzler has outperformed Patrick Peterson, but Patrick Peterson has respectively been better because of the matchups that he has had. So this is where we're asking for Cameron Dantzler to step up, because he is the game changer on this Vikings defense right now. Without Patrick Peterson, you have Bashaud Breeland and Mackenzie Alexander starting at corner. You don't want Mackenzie Alexander starting at outside cornerback. We saw how that worked with the Vikings in the past. You want him to stay at nickel. As a matter of fact, you can bench him and play Anthony Barr, Nick Vigil there instead, because you don't want Mackenzie Alexander, a 5'10" guy, going up against some of these tight ends like Dalton Schultz that we're going to have to play week 8. So you don't, or Mark Andrews the week after that too. You don't want Mackenzie Alexander on these guys, but maybe as that nickelback slot corner where he can cover some of these wide receiver 3s, you can use him for that. But taking a look at it, we need Bashaud Breeland and Cameron Dantzler as our outside corners right now. Not a very good cornerback duo right there. Very bad. Wish the Vikings could have Stephon Gilmore on a roster. That is a terrible cornerback duo. They both look like backups in the NFL right now. I'd hate to be a Cameron Dantzler hater. I know Vikings fans love this guy, and they're treating him like he's the best player we have on our cornerback room right now. But again, Cameron Dantzler still has to prove himself. I have to see more. You take a look at his tape from Mississippi State and you bring that into the NFL. It doesn't translate well, as he's an undersized corner and not a great tackler. And now he's going up against some of these players. Great on man-to-man coverage, great zone coverage in the red zone, but outside of that, Cameron Dantzler is very limited and his ceiling is very low in the NFL. But taking a look at it right now, he is the guy who we are looking to. Cameron Dantzler so far this season has played 28% of defensive snaps. Yes, that's 28%, as he's the second best corner on this team, and they continue to bench him and keep Bashaud Breeland out there. Has only allowed 5 receptions this season, has 2 pass deflections, allowed 0 touchdowns this season on top of that. So, like I said, Cameron Dantzler, great zone corner in the red zone, and PFF grade is at 67.9, which is highest amongst Vikings corners, and so far this season has been the best Vikings corner in the cornerback room, and that's only because Patrick Peterson has had some bad matchups so far this season, with obviously against DeAndre Hopkins, DK Metcalf, and DJ Moore. So taking a look at this, Cameron Dantzler has a big shoes to fill with the Minnesota Vikings, and I talked about him as being that potential breakout star for the Minnesota Vikings this season. So far, obviously, he hasn't been. He was inactive week 1. Don't understand what the coaches are doing here. I mean, really, the coaches are the reason why we're 3-3 at this point in the season. But taking a look at this, though, Cameron Dantzler we need him. Big shoes to fill. We need him to step into those roles, and we have tough matchups these upcoming weeks. You hear a lot about the Vikings' upcoming matchups, and wow, is it tough. Right off of the bye week, the Minnesota Vikings will host the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. Dallas Cowboys and Vikings will both be coming off of a Week 7 bye, and Dallas Cowboys this season, 5 straight wins they have, are going to be going up against the Minnesota Vikings secondary, which looks god awful at this moment. And Dallas Cowboys just loaded with talent. I mean, outside of Zeke and Tony Pollard, one of the best 1-2 punches in the backfield, their wide receiver core is great, highlighted by Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb on the outside. Even outside of their wide receiver duo, Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb make one of the league's best wide receiver duos. They have so much depth at the position as well, with Michael Gallup obviously being their great wide receiver 3. Now, he is on IR right now, but should be returning week 8 with the Dallas Cowboys. On top of that, they have this Cedric Wilson guy who's been looking really good with them as well. So tough matchup there for the Minnesota Vikings. They also have Dalton Schultz at tight end, which we can definitely contain Dalton Schultz, but at that, I mean, their wide receivers are going to get all the targets. They can run 5 wide receiver sets if they want and just destroy this Vikings defense, just smoke them all night, and that could happen. Hopefully it doesn't. I mean, the Vikings are lucky to have this game at home, but that is the biggest matchup here that the Vikings have to look at, because without Patrick Peterson, Cowboys could be putting up over 30 points against our defense easily, and maybe even over 40 the way their offense has looked. 5 straight wins. The Dallas Cowboys are a serious contender in the NFC right now. And Minnesota Vikings defense, this is really going to test our defense, as we know it's not going to look great, but our offense, it's just going to be a shootout at this point. Our Vikings offense will have to step up in this game, and that is very possible because we have a great offense. And then that's the first matchup. And the first one's the toughest, week 8, without Patrick Peterson. But after that, we have even more hard matchups. Week 9, we play Marquise Brown and Rashad Bateman. Assuming Rashad Bateman takes the role over Sammy Watkins by week 9, they will play Marquise Brown and Rashad Bateman, making an okay wide receiver duo. Again, it's the Baltimore Ravens, and they like to run the ball more, so that's not going to be the biggest issue there. But the 2 weeks after that, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, another one of the league's best wide receiver duos. And then, of course, Justin Herbert under center. Just an absolute powerhouse of a passing offense right there. Week 10 is going to be another tough one without Patrick Peterson. And obviously, our rival, Devontae Adams and Allen Lazard, we will play week 11. So Minnesota Vikings have tough upcoming wide receiver matchups, and assuming that Patrick Peterson misses the next 4 games with the Minnesota Vikings, we will lose all of them. No, I can't say that, because our defense is going to look bad. It is. I don't have the same expectations with Cameron Dantzler that a lot of Vikings fans do. My expectations are very low. And we have some of the toughest matchups here. I mean, beating the Dallas Cowboys without Patrick Peterson is very tough. I mean, we're going to have a great performance from our offense. And then, of course, the rest of these matchups as well. It's just going to be tough without, because cornerback, I'll say it right now, is the second most important position in the NFL. After quarterback, cornerback is the second most important position, because this is a pass-heavy league, and it's very tough to find great corners in the NFL, which is why the Vikings should have traded for Stephon Gilmore, which is why the Vikings always throw their draft capital into the cornerback position. Never seems to work out, but they continue to do that because it's that important. It is the second most important position in the NFL, alongside pass rusher there, and obviously offensive line. So a big gap between quarterback and then the second most important position, but it is up there. It is very crucial to have a lockdown corner in the NFL. And right now it's looking like we have no lockdown corner. So I would expect Mike Zimmer or whoever is going to be the head coach or GM next year to continue to throw draft capital at the cornerback position, because this looks god awful for the Minnesota Vikings, as our next 4 matchups are going to be rough without Patrick Peterson. This might be the worst news we have heard all season for the Minnesota Vikings, is losing him, and then obviously losing Irv Smith Jr. But this might even be worse than losing Irv Smith Jr. at this point, because this is a game changer, and we might go 0-4 in these next 4 games. Hate to be the pessimistic guy here, but I have to be a little real. And Bashaud Breeland, Cameron Dantzler, Mackenzie Alexander, these corners are not going to cut it. Outside of that, we have Chris Boyd and Harrison Hand, who are mainly special teamers, but might be able to step into that role. We saw them play a little bit in preseason. Chris Boyd looked excellent in preseason. Maybe we see a little bit of him. Harrison Hand is really solely a special teamer at this point. He also is a backup safety, as he played a little bit of safety in college. So taking a look at that, though, Minnesota Vikings have tough upcoming schedule. Patrick Peterson missing the next 4 games is going to be rough. Let me know what y'all think.